Hey guys, got this transmission now steering box all trimmed up as nice as I can. Got the axle ends cut off, and pretty much the axle on this side just comes up in so far. This one here is I just trimmed. It was already trimmed shorter, but I just trimmed the case back so it sticks out. And I got a 2001 Cavalier steering shaft, intermediate shaft, and this will go in between here and the four-wheeler steering shaft. And I'm hoping that it can work on the angles it's gonna have to be on. If it don't, it's really gonna suck because I gotta frame in everything and attach this thing, you know, and basically put it completely in there to see if it works. So, you know, that would be a lot of work just to see that if it works. Right now what needs to happen is I gotta grind some flats on here so that this can slide up on and clamp on, and then the steering shaft down there needs something, you know, made and welded into it. So there's some machining needs done. I'm going to attach the steering wheel directly to that shaft right there, but I'm going to drill it out, and I'm putting a lawnmower steering wheel on it. I cut the shaft out of the lawnmower, and then I just got to adapt it to fit here. Whether I make a collar or actually drill that out, I don't know which one's which yet. But I need to make it a little longer on that side. Mounts so far, what I got is angle iron mounts, and I mounted them to where the brake assembly was. Basically, this little transmission was made to have a brake assembly on either side, and I just used the bolt pattern that they had. I did drill them out and make them a bigger size, like the next size up. I think they was 1/4 inch bolts, and I brought them up to 5/16. So next up, I got basically this whole setup right here. It's just barely sitting here. Is just to see if this is going to be long enough, it's going to work. Yeah, that's basically it. And I kind of like playing around with it, like putting it on the angles that it needs to be and kind of trying to twirl it around, but it's kind of doesn't really, you really can't do it by hand because you can, you know, but it's kind of like I just know that there is a limit of how far these things can tilt over before they don't want to work. So yeah, well, get started on making the pieces, and probably next time you see it, this will fit stuff. Alright, I got some parts made up. Steering wheel is from that Lowe's tractor. I figured I'd just get like a Honda emblem or sticker or something to stick in the center of it. But cut off the shaft of the lawnmower and made a sleeve, and drilled through the sleeve and basically just like plug welded it on there. It'll never break. It's welded pretty good. And the steering stem that was originally a four-wheeler steering stem, I milled flats on the side. And I like to mention this is the first time I used a mill, and this turned out really well, fits perfect in there. But I milled this shaft here. This is the axle basically of the MTD tractor, and it was super hard, super hard, and it didn't turn out very great. Basically, I'll get it on there, and I'll have to weld this. I'll have to weld this on here. But I figure once I get it all mocked up and I know it all works, I won't mind this being welded on there. But alright, well, let's go and start putting this thing in. Well, here's kind of how it looks. Not exactly where it's going to be. It's got to probably go lower right here you know. But made a little angle iron piece to fasten the original coupling piece for steering stem. It used to be more up towards, you know, up here somewhere, but kind of get 2 points on that steering shaft, stabilize it. I'll have to weld it. I'll have to weld it in. So that's about where we're at right now. I think I'm just going to start off with weld something across here, and then fasten, you know, weld this to this. Alright guys, I got this thing all kind of welded in there. I got it welded up here, and got a bracket going across the bottom, and it works. Turn the steering wheel. Oh. But it has play in it. And let's see here how much play I have. Well, it's not actually the box. It's not this. I seen that this right here, it's like any kind of play side to side turns into steering wheel play, and I took this thing off right here and ground one side of it so that it would squeeze better, and I pretty much got rid of that. You know, rock it back and forth. Kind of hard to see this stuff in camera. I got rid of that. Now watch it. I'll be rocking the steering wheel back and forth like this when I go down here. You can see the shaft coming out of the transmission, you know, this thing here. It's pretty much going back and forth with the steering wheel. Now I need to shim this in here, like split this case and shim this in here to get rid of some of this. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this moves back and forth just a little. But one of the things that's moving the most is the shaft from the car. See here? This turns and this is not. Yeah, that's kind of strange. A car would have that much play in it, but go out here to the brand new riding mower. I'll show you something with it. Yeah, this thing's pretty much brand new. I mean, I've mowed the grass a few times with it. You know, so is that just a normal amount of steering play? You know, I don't know. Okay, I'm not.
Are we gonna leave?
No.
I don't want to leave.
We're not leaving yet.
Oh yay! I get to play.
So, anyways, I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna have to drill a hole through this thing. You know, go through this. You know, put a bolt that fits just perfect in there, maybe, and try to get rid of that, or you know, should I just leave it? Should I just leave it alone? But I don't know. So I put a bolt in, drilled a hole through this thing, and put a bolt in it. And of course, you know, even though you find a drill bit that's exactly the same size as the bolt, still makes the hole a little bit bigger than what, you know. So I think that has part of what's going on, but it's about half. About half of what it was. Let me see here. Here's steering play. I think it'll work. Like I said, I'll just put some toe it in on the tires a little bit. So basically, when it's towed in a little bit, it'll want to go in a straight line. So you won't be constantly fighting it. You know, go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, trying to keep it straight. And it should be good. If you took it out on the road, had going high speed, you might be back and forth with the steering, but I'm probably going to have this thing geared to go about 40 anyway, so it'll work. Good as it's going to get. Well, there's one little thing I can do is when I take this thing off, and these greased inside anyways, but I need to shim this so that I lose the play, back and forth play on this shaft right here. I need to shim it in there. Other than that, should increase it a little, you know, make it a little bit better then again too. So but today we'll work on finishing the roll cage. Got a couple bars to put in up at the top here, a couple bars going from the back to the, you know, the back tail end of it. Just trying to start off with putting the bar from going down to here to here. This is just pretty much a cosmetics kind of a thing. If I wanted to make like a bonnet or something like that, you know, like a hood, it'd be a lot easier with those bars in place. And it also gave me a little bit of room for like putting in a master cylinder and things like that, because it's going to create a little bit of a space between here. So I think them bars look pretty cool in there. Makes it look better, I think. Like I said, I think they're just cosmetics. They're not really doing much, but I think I'm going to start just tack welding stuff together, and then I'll take the whole frame home and use the big welder, because I could just take a lot less time to weld with that big one and actually do a better job with it. I mean, this guy here can do pretty decent, you know, but it just takes a lot of time. I messed up cutting this one bar. Somehow I cut it like a ½ inch too short. So I added it into it. I might put something on the nose here or something that was covered up, but you know, I'm just getting kind of low on, like, I have enough materials to do what I need to do here and not any more than that. So these angles are kind of hard to cut and get exactly perfect, and then sometimes you end up cutting it short because, well, it's just the way it is. But now we'll get started on top bars. Something I like to add as far as to help out with somebody that wants to do something like this, but there's a weld seam inside of these tubes, and you can kind of see it on the outside. I don't know if you can see it in camera, but it's right there, and it creates a straight line. So like when you're notching out the end, you gotta notch out both ends, and they both gotta match up to something. You know, you notch this end out, and you want to go to the other end and notch it out. If you line it up to that weld seam, then it kind of helps you match up your notches. So both the notches on both ends are in the same spot. Just thought I'd add that one in. Got the top bars in, and I had some problems with those. Pretty much, you know, it's where, you know, you build everything at the bottom, and you get the center section, you build the front, you build the back, and then everything has to come up and come together, and it's not right. It's not perfect, you know. But pretty much I just went with what looked good versus what would be right. Basically, the front bar, or the bars come to the front piece here, it's the same versus this, you know, this edge to where that bar is welded to this edge to where that bar is welded is the same. But when it got to the back is where I had to sacrifice what looked better than what would be right, because once it got back there, everything wanted to go kind of like this way. So anyways, the space between the bars is not the same amount in the back, and it's also not the same from the very edge to the center of the bar to the very edge. It's actually off about a ½ of an inch. ½ inch less on this side than what it is on that side. But it is what it is. I mean, until you actually start trying to build stuff like this, you're going to see for yourself that it's very difficult. Unless you got like a perfect, you know, making jigs. I use my floor here as a jig to make this bottom and the center section right here, because it's the flattest surface I have. So there's other things that didn't come out perfectly right, where I used a piece of wood is a square, which I think is perfectly square, you know, as far as like this edge to this edge, it's square. And same way with the other side. But when it came to putting this bar where it needed to be, it's square, but it's not the same on the other side. It's not in the same place. So when I put this bar in, right here, it ended up being like this, as you can see. When you try to use everything else as a frame of reference, it's not in there straight. This little steering box thing ain't in there perfectly straight. But it's just, unless you're going to sit here and cut everything all apart 10 times, you know, it's just not going to be perfect. But when you're driving it around, you're not going to care. You're going to have fun. You know, it'll be fun driving around. And you know, I've seen some other videos or like still picture builds, and you'll be looking at the back of it. You know, this axle just laying here, but you'll be looking at the back of it, and you'll be looking at other things as frame of references, and you can see things as crooked in other people's stuff too. So I'm not the only one. Alright, so the bar's coming down on the back, and I'm going to use 1/2" tubing for that, just because I don't have any more 3/4, so, which this stuff, 3/4 is actually like about 1 inch on the outside, and the 1/2" pipe is actually about 3/4 of an inch on the outside. So I'll start working on those. At the back, roll cage pieces in. Sorry about the lighting in here. I got lights on in here, but there's too much light outside, and it just makes the camera so it doesn't want to do anything. But I think I'm done for today. Don't really plan on doing anything else, so I call it a day on this video. Same thing on the back. Things didn't want to work out exactly as planned because those bars coming across the top don't match, so when you try to run the ones up, of course you want them to line up with the other bars, so when you get to the bottom, I couldn't make them the same, you know, make it an even amount, you know, on the back. You know, from here to here, from here to here, there is a difference. And you guys can probably see it in the camera, but I'd rather have it like that than have the two bars, you know, all the bars up there not lining up with each other. Probably what I should have did was ran those up first, started off of here and then went to the front, and then up here would have had no frame of reference. Well, yeah, you would have had a frame of reference because you would have been able to see from here to here distance. I don't know. Well, I'll catch you guys on the next one.